Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new YouTube video. And in today's video, I'm going to be covering how to manage and train appointment setters for optimal performance. And the agenda I'm going to be covering with you today is firstly, setting the right KPIs and understanding the importance of them. Second, non-negotiables. Third, management framework. And then fourth, troubleshooting problems. So I'm going to be going over this sheet and also show you some practical examples throughout the video, really what happens for us too on the back end, and really how you can maximize the appointment setter performance. Because I work with a lot of clients, and maybe for yourself as well, if you have an appointment setter right now that's only doing 5 to 10 to 50 or even only 150 to 200 conversations, that is simply not enough if you have ambitious goals and you really want to make the most out of your social media platform. So we're first going to be kicking it off with the right KPIs, because that's where I see the most quote unquote mistakes get made within the appointment setting area. So first things first, the trick to making sure you're building up momentum and keeping that momentum high is focusing on the KPIs that your setter can control, such as these examples right here. So you can just pause this video and read this if you'd like, because the main bulk, what I'm going to be covering is really what our setters hit and how you can track the KPIs and really everything that's most relevant to getting results. These are just simply some fundamental pieces to making sure you have the right foundation, okay? Now, for more specific KPIs, this is what I'd, at the bare minimum, have your setter follow, right? So follow-ups, I'd say 180, new conversations 2030, calls per post 820. In my opinion, this should be ramped up after 2 days to the following KPIs that I'm going to show you right now. So you can see right here, this is our EOD channel. We have a very simple setup at the back end. So basically our setters, they fill out a Google form and then it automatically gets submitted here. And then we have like daily to weekly to monthly metrics averaged out. And we have like a scorecard that's being built up in the process by just having them report every single day. So you can see here our appointment setter, Kim. She has every single day at least 100 new outbound conversations, 40-ish new outbound conversations as well. And then follow-ups sit at around 400, calls proposed 36, calls booked 28. I'd say at the minimum, this should be the case. Now, if you're on Facebook, this is going to be a little bit lower. For Instagram, this is at around like minimum 100. Follow-ups, bare minimum, I'd say 400 as well. Okay. So with that being said, going back to the sheet here. So what I was going to mention is that like with Instagram, you can push more new conversations, as I just briefly mentioned, and also more follow-ups. Again, this is what you want to do in the first 2 days. If you have a new setter, after that, just ramp up a bit more drastically if that's possible. And mainly the possibility comes from simply the setter putting in the work, right? So non-negotiables. So I really believe besides having a good setter, what's even more important is good leadership, right? And making sure you have good onboarding, good expectations, good communication, good feedback. You operate with a sense of urgency and you set the right standards for the setter to operate at a high level. And really what you want to do is, firstly take ownership and show them, right, what your own daily non-negotiables are and why that's important to you and to the business and how that's helping them. Right? Because you can only really get team members to the level that you are operating at. It's really a bad mindset to hire someone and expect them to like drive results when you are not putting in the work or showing them how it's done and really showing them like how to operate best in the trenches, right? Second, help them understand the importance of having them in place and the why behind it, right? Third, lead the way by setting some initial non-negotiables for each department, get feedback from your team, and then brainstorm together other stuff that they can do on a daily that you guys can add to the list. All right. So here are our non-negotiables that we have for our setters. So firstly is the EOD report. And this is a big one because I speak with also, again, a lot of clients, and I'll ask them like, hey, what are your setters numbers? And, they do not track it. So then with that, you cannot really improve this specific area within your business. And it's really fundamental you do have those numbers, right? So EOD report, you can follow like this very simple outline right here. I also have one attached to this cheat sheet. And by the way, guys, if you want this cheat sheet and many, many more, you can just go to the Free courses, link is in the description that I have. This one is from Scaling with Setters. And I've got a few more that are pretty cool that help with marketing, lead flow, etc. But back to the point here. So firstly, EOD report. Second, BOD report. Full transparency, we stopped doing this just for the sake of simplicity. Third, lead qualification SOP. So our metrics are basically the following. So we qualify people on income. So if they make at least 2K per month, we'll leave them on the calendar, right? Even if the budget says 0. Now, if they're unemployed and have no income, then they have to have at least a 1K budget, right? And if they don't, then we basically instantly cancel just for the sake of calendar efficiency, right? So here we keep this person on because they're making at least 2K per month. So that's what I have taught my setters, and they now know what to qualify on when a lead comes through. And lastly, a daily huddle. Full transparency again, I have my manager do this, and this is more every 2 days. After a certain point, you don't need to do it every single day. But again, this is about you adding in non-negotiables until that foundation is laid. So if a call every single day is necessary, do it, show them the way, show them the ropes, and get after it. Next, management framework. So I'm going to be briefly skimming over this because I really want to talk about performance. This is more management. Now, if you are the business owner and you don't have a seller manager yet, you should be doing this, right? Like you should be keeping your team members accountable. You should help them if they're struggling with something. You should be the number one person they can reach out to, provide feedback, and lead the way with a strong vision. And most importantly, like you should also be QCing the inbox, right? Multiple times throughout the day. That's one of the most valuable things you can do because besides marketing, which is posting a few times a day, what really matters is booking calls. And so you being on top of like the inbox and making sure like that things are moving forward in the right direction and, you know, no mistakes are being made. And if they are, you provide feedback. QCing is going to be fundamental, right? And even if I'm doing literally nothing in a day, I'll go into the inbox and I'll set appointments myself. Because listen, you're never above the basics, okay? It's the basics that drive the needle forward. And you should not have an ego or feel entitlement to success just because you have a setter, because that mindset will get you definitely not to the result that you want to be at. So here are some context on how to conduct daily huddles, how you can check the inbox most efficiently, and really, again, what I just referenced to, that makes a big difference. And lastly, the infrastructure to make sure that you have a clear overview of the numbers, you know what's happening, you're building momentum, you're building your pipeline, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now here is how you can predictably book calls by just knowing the numbers. So if there are setter problems, right? So I'm going to take an example right here. So baseline, real EOD from one of my appointment setters. So you can see basically what that looks like. This is just a normal, regular EOD where performance was pretty good. And this was from my B2B, not my B2C. Now, let's say there's a noob setter, okay? And you are the manager and you want to like understand what went wrong here. So let me ask you this. What do you think the problem was right here? Like why there's 0 booked calls? So it's low conversational volume, right? Like there's only 25 conversations. Like you're not going to find any opportunity in 25 conversations, okay? So the solution here, firstly, is to increase the volume of outbound, inbound, and follow-ups to at least to the KPIs that I mentioned earlier above in this document. That's going to be the initial solution, okay? So let's say now, okay, great, we've ramped up the volume a little bit, fantastic, but we're still not booking any calls. So what's the problem here? The problem here is that there were no calls proposed. So we had conversations, but we didn't lead and advance it to the point where we found a pain, goal, desire, where we could position ourselves as a solution and offer a call, right? So we need to increase our calls proposed. Okay, that's typically the second, or pretty much always the second solution after you ramp up volume. Now, third, you can see now we got volume, we proposed calls, and we booked 4 calls. So you can see now you can predictably always book more. So if you're booking 11 calls, now ramp up the volume and propose more calls and book more calls. If you have 400 or 500 a day, you're stuck at 20 calls proposed a day. Have the same volume, but focus on quality over quantity now in this instance and go from like, you know, the amount of calls proposed you're at to 30, 40, 50, like we're doing over at our B2C, as you can see right here, right? It's very, very consistent. So to recap, this is how you basically want to go about setting the right KPIs, what it looks like in the short term, the midterm, and the longer term, non-negotiables, what it looks like for us, management framework, and what we use. Again, simplicity is key. You don't have to do 100 things or build systems for the sake of doing them. Focus on booking calls, focus on optimizing that, and follow those 4 key pillars right here, and you're going to be on your way to have massive success with setters. So that being said, guys, as I said, I'm going to show you something real quick. So look, if you go to link in the description, you're going to get taken to this community. If you go to the classroom, this is fully free. I want to build a community and provide you with value and lead the way with that. You just go to this little program right here. You can visit this whole course and really lay all the foundations that you need. And there's even examples here, et cetera, et cetera. You can communicate directly with myself. So feel free to check it out if you'd like to. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.